Hello everyone, welcome to PRATHAM Test Prep. I am Ashish Bhargav and welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis that we do from Monday to Friday. So in this newspaper analysis, we discuss about all the important news article which is very essential for your exam, and majorly we discuss about the Hindu and Indian Express because major chunks of questions in your exam that are taken from and fetched from the Hindu and Indian Express. So I hope that you guys are doing well. आप सारे अच्छे होंगे. And here we start. And what exactly we discuss in newspaper analysis? We discuss about all the national news, international news, economy-based news, sports-based news, science and tech, personal news, summits and conference, miscellaneous. And apart from that, we do also discuss about Supreme Court verdict, which is very important. Any amendments, any bill, which is very important, especially for the students who are preparing for the law entrance exam like CLAT, like AILET, like SLAT, MHCT and all. And we also discuss about state initiative as well. So if you are new in this channel, please subscribe to the channel as well, and do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get the notification of all our Pratham Test Prep mentors. And here is the quote of the day is, if your voice is high, only a few people will hear. If your thought is high, then many people will listen. And to inculcate the thought process, you have to develop the temperament to read the newspaper. And study hard, no matter if it seems impossible, no matter if it takes time, no matter if you have to up all night, just remember that the feeling of success is the best thing in the entire world. And we have taken initiative questions of the day that is very important, because sometimes you gathered all the information but you're unable to solve the question because you trap such kind of dilemma that whether the A option would be appropriate, whether the B option would be appropriate, C or D. So try to attain the process of elimination while you are solving the question, because at the end that you will solve multiple choice question, right? So for this you must have a such kind of knowledge and temperament to solve it. But on the daily basis, we'll give you the 5 questions, so that gives you the immense idea like what kind of questions that can be framed in your examination in the based of newspaper, right? And here is the very first article talking about India's immediate growth prospect. So let's begin with this article. So the National Statistical Office (NSO) on February 28 released a new numbers pertaining to annual quarterly national income for 2021, 2022 and 2023. So are we recovering after pre-COVID year? So as per the NSO data, National Statistical Office, so second advanced estimate, that is called SAE, India suffered a contract of minus 5.7% in 2020 and 2021, which is much lower than the first advanced estimates. जो हमारी GDP है, which is the gross domestic product, GDP during the COVID-19 year amounts 136.9 lakh crore. That is higher than, we can say, 136.9 lakh crore. So that we can say that the real GDP that is quite different. And sector wise overall GVA, which is called gross value added, which means that the intermediate consumptions, once we subtract it, that we will get the gross value added. So the gross fixed capital formation of GDP ratio in nominal terms, that is called 29.2%. So basically this article talking about the data. So make a short A4 sheet जहाँ पे भी आप डेटा को लिख सको, so that this is very important. भाई एग्जाम में कई बार ना डेटा पूछ रहे होते हैं, so उसमें आप यहाँ पे you cannot apply the process of elimination to solving the MCQs. So जो estimates दिया गया यहाँ पे, that is called ICOR के according, that is called ICOR. ये ICOR क्या है? That is called estimated incremental capital output ratio. That is called estimated incremental capital output ratio. इसके अकॉर्डिंग, इसके फुल फॉर्म को याद रखो, ICOR, एंड जो कंपेयर किया गया 4.9% 2022-2023 में, एंड दिस बिकॉज 2019-2020 का GDP ग्रोथ जो था रेट दैट वाज लोअर देन 3.7%. सो हमारे कंट्री में जो इन्फ्लेशन होती है उसको चेक करने के लिए दो टूल्स बनी होती हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड CPI एंड WPI. CPI विच इज द कंज्यूमर प्राइस इंडेक्स, ठीक है, और WPI होती है वहाँ पे हमारे होलसेल प्राइस इंडेक्स. एंड RBI की मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी होती है दैट विल चेक इट आउट कि वेदर द इन्फ्लेशन इज बिलो द 7% और नॉट. सो CPI जो होती है एंड WPI का डेटा कौन रिलीज करता है हमारे कंट्री में? NSO, दैट इज कॉल्ड नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिकल ऑफिस. सो यहाँ पे जो इकोनॉमिक स्लो डाउन की बात हो रही है उसको दैट इज कॉल्ड स्टडी ग्रोथ ऑफ 6% to 7% कैन बी इंश्योर्ड ओवर द मीडियम टर्म, उसकी बात हो रही है. तो ये CPI एंड WPI विच वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस इन द yesterday newspaper analysis. Now moving further, why do landfills catch fire during summers? Well, landfills क्या होते हैं? Where the garbage is dumping, that is called landfills. जैसे आपने गाजीपुर में देखा होगा, once you go the outskirts in the Delhi, that you will see that there is garbage dumped there. That is called landfills. So यहाँ पे जो कोची landfills है, that is sit around Brahmapuram, that caught fire earlier this month as a stark reminder. So why do landfills catch fire? So India's municipalities have been collecting more than 95% of the waste generated in the cities, but the efficiency of waste processing is 30 to 40% at best. So the municipal solid waste consists of about 60% उसमें biodegradable material है, 25% non-biodegradable material है, 15% inert material like silt and stone. तो जो म्यूनिसपैलिटीज़ हैं आर एक्सपेक्टेड टू प्रोसेस द वेट एंड ड्राई वेस्ट सेपरेटली एंड टू हैव द रिकवर्ड बाय प्रोडक्ट रिसाइकल्ड. सो अनफॉर्चुनेटली द रेट ऑफ प्रोसेसिंग इन इंडिया सिटीज़ इज़ फार लोअर देन द रेट ऑफ वेस्ट जनरेशन. एंड दिस ओपनली डिस्पोज्ड वेस्ट इंक्लूड्स फ्लेमेबल मटीरियल लाइक लो क्वालिटी के जो प्लास्टिक्स होते हैं, उसकी वजह से वो जो कचड़े होते हैं उनमें आग लगने की पॉसिबिलिटी ज़्यादा होती हैं. सो is there any permanent solution? Yes. So there are two possible permanent solutions to manage landfills fires. First solution is to completely cap the material using soil and close landfills in a scientific manner, right? And this solution is unsuitable in the Indian context as the land cannot be used again for the purposes. So this is clear. The second solution क्या है? It is clear the piles of waste through bioremediation. बायोरेमेडिएशन मतलब एक प्रोसेस के थ्रू उसको, जैसे आपने देखा होगा कि यहाँ पे जो हमारा मध्य प्रदेश है, मतलब इंदौर को हमेशा उसमें क्लीनेस्ट सिटी का अवार्ड मिलता है क्योंकि उसके पास बायोरेमेडिएशन प्रोसेस बहुत अच्छी है. जो एक्सकेवेटेड ओल्ड वेस्ट होते हैं यूजिंग ऑटोमेटेड सीविंग मशीन टू सेग्रीगेट द फ्लैमेबल रिफ्यूज डिराइव, जिसे हम कहते हैं RDF, जिसमें कि प्लास्टिक्स होते हैं, आपके रैग्स होते हैं एंड क्लॉथ्स होते हैं. सो implementing a bioremediation process usually takes up 2 or 3 years, और इसके लिए शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशन ये है कि समर टाइम लैंडफिल्स फायर्स को रोकने के लिए. सो while these measures can help reduce the fire's damage and they are far from ideal and not long term solution. Now moving to the next article. This article is very important और ये सी राजा मोहन जी की हैं, दैट इज इंडिया एंड एंग्लोस्फेयर. In this article basically we talk about AUKUS. So AUKUS or AUKUS, there are two pronunciation, but AUKUS we can say is an trilateral security impact between कितने कंट्री बीच में? ऑस्ट्रेलिया, राइट, यूनाइटेड किंगडम एंड US, दैट इज कॉल्ड AUKUS. और ये साइन हुआ था 15 सितंबर 2021 में फॉर द इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन. एंड अंडर द पैक्ट the US and the UK will assist Australia in acquiring nuclear powered submarines. So the defense cooperation between US, UK and Australia highlights the opportunity for India to develop a unique set of arrangements with Washington and its allies that will strengthen India's national powers. इसमें AUKUS के बारे में दी गई है कि what is interest of India is something else, that AUKUS marks a significant change in US regional strategy for the Indo-Pacific. In the past, और जो US है that is sought to promote regional security, right, unilaterally through its own military capabilities. इसमें AUKUS में बताया गया है कि इसमें जो सेकंड है कि इंडिया की जो फॉरेन पॉलिसी है that we can say that is community trends to neglect the continuing global strategic silence of Britain, right. और इसमें इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस होनी चाहिए कि चाइना ने भी लॉन्च किया अपने कैंपेन अगेंस्ट ऑकस के अगेंस्ट with the manner through its top post in the US civil nuclear initiative. So finally, US made it clear that it does not plan to extend the AUKUS arrangement, right? So इसमें इंडिया की जो AUKUS अरेंजमेंट के साथ साथ इंडिया के इंटरेस्ट में क्या क्या चीज़ें होनी चाहिए वो इसमें आर्टिकल में मेंशन थी. नाउ सऊदी इरानियन नॉर्मलाइजेशन चैलेंज इन वेस्ट एशिया. देखो इसके स्टोरी समझो. मार्च 10, 2023 को सऊदी अरबिया और ईरान ने रिप्रेजेंट किया दिया नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइज़र. उसमें साइन एन अग्रीमेंट इन बीजिंग चाइना टू रीस्टैब्लिश डिप्लोमेटिक ties, respect each other's sovereignty and maintain non-interference in the other domestic affairs. और ये जो अरेंजमेंट्स है also reinstate two previous accords. पहला हमारा सिक्योरिटी कोऑपरेशन जो साइन किया था 2001 में एंड ongoing back to 1998. तो चाइना के जो फॉरेन अफेयर्स हैं वांग वी who broke the agreement describe it as a victory for dialogue, a victory for peace. जो वेस्ट एशिया है that is also crucial for the realization of China Belt and Road Initiative that is called BRI. और ये BRI के बारे में हमने बहुत बार डिस्कस किया हुआ है न्यूज़ ऑफ एनालिसिस में. इसमें जो रीजनल स्टेट्स हैं दैट इज़ बीइंग इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर लॉजिस्टिकल कनेक्टिविटी एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट कंसल्टेंसी एंड कंट्रैक्टिंग पार्टनरशिप. और जो चाइना का इंटरेस्ट है ऑब्वियसली दैट रिक्वायर्ड अ stable regional environment, but till recently China had been reluctant to engage itself with regional competitions and confrontation. So what is the China new approach in West Asia? So about 2 years ago, Chinese academics began to signal changes in this approach, and they indicated that China was looking at greater political involvement with the region on the basis of quasi-Median diplomacy, right? उसके लिए आपने देखा होगा कि आपने न्यूज़ में डिस्कस भी किया था JCPOA, JESPOA. JESPOA is something that we can say the regional security that is also needs the revival of the nuclear agreement. और JCPOA इसके फुल फॉर्म कई बार आपके एग्जाम में पूछा है इन्होंने JCPOA. तो JCPOA क्या होता है बेटा कि ये आपका होता है जॉइंट कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव प्लान ऑफ एक्शन that are linked with the management of Israel aggressive, and soon after उसमें जो हमारे IAEA थे which is called International Atomic Energy Agency that has announced कि that is traces of uranium enrichment by Iran जो कि almost थे आपके 84% just short of weapons grade, and the IAEA Director General जो थे हमारे वो उनका नाम क्या था that is called Rafael Grossi. So though it's a serious problems remains with this accord, China has affirmed that the role in West Asian affairs that is likely to get more active and substantial. This poses challenges for the Indian diplomacy, right? So this is all about the crux about this article. So I request everyone to look it very carefully. You must know about what are the important takeaways for your exam. Next one is the RBI has permitted banks from 18 countries to trade in rupees, that is called center. तो हमारे इंडिया के सेंट्रल बैंक कौन सी है? दैट इज कॉल्ड RBI. सो RBI granted not to domestic and foreign authority dealers bank in 16 cases for operating special vostro account. ये vostro account क्या होता है? For setting up payment in rupees, says minister in राज्य सभा in response. अब देखते हो इसमें क्या चीज़ है. vostro rupees account, that is called SVRA. पहले इसको जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि क्या चीज़ें होती है. देखो nostro and vostro account क्या होती है. Vostro account होता है an account that other foreign banks hold with our bank in the domestic currency, right? That is Latin words which means yours. Nostro मतलब होता है an account that banks hold in foreign currency in other banks. Latin words means ours. Nostro which means that is often used to simplify settlement of trade and foreign exchange transactions. और जो vostro account होता है उसको यूज़ किया जाता है for the executing wire transfer, performing foreign exchange transactions, enabling deposits and withdrawals, and expediting international trade. तो ये हमारा स्पेशल रुपी vostro account क्या है? रुपी vostro accounts keep the holding of foreign entity in Indian bank and Indian rupees. When an Indian importer make a payment to a foreign trade in rupees, the amount gets credited to the vostro account. And in the same way, जो इंडिया के एक्सपोर्टर हैं has to be paid for goods and services in rupees, and amount from this vostro account will be deducted and same would be credited to the exporter regular account. Now next article talking about Supreme Court dismisses central players seeking more money for Union Carbide. सो बेसिकली इसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यहाँ पे डिसमिस किया गवर्नमेंट क्यूरेटिव पिटिशंस को, एडिशनली कंपनसेशन फॉर द यूनियन कार्बाइड कोऑपरेशन. आपको पता है जो भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी हुई थी, भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी में जो था हमारा मिथाइल आइसोसाइनाइड वाज रिलीज्ड, और दैट वाज वी कैन से इट आफ्टर द यूसीसी ऑन एलिगेशन लगाया कि नीदर द यूनियन नॉर द स्टेट ऑफ मध्य प्रदेश हैड टेकन अ स्टेप टू प्रोएक्टिवली डिटॉक्सिफाई और decommissions the site in the aftermath of fatal escape of methyl isocyanate gas in the intervening night of December 2, 3, 1984. तो ये जो कहानी थी उसमें कंपनसेशन पे करना था. भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी के बारे में यू हैव डिस्कस्ड, यू हैव स्टडीड समवेयर इन द एनसीईआरटी एज वेल. द पोस्ट मिडनाइट December 3, 1984 मिथाइल आइसोसाइनाइड, केमिकल फॉर्मूला इसका CS3NCO, ये इसका फॉर्मूला है, दैट लीक्ड फ्रॉम द पेस्टिसाइड प्लांट ऑफ यूनियन कार्बाइड, जिसे मध्य प्रदेश दिस वाज कैपिटल ऑफ भोपाल, और इसमें अबाउट 40 टन्स ऑफ जो गैस थे और अदर केमिकल्स लीक हो गए थे, जिससे कि ऑब्वियस सी बात है वहाँ पे जो लोग थे दैट हैज सफर्ड. एंड एज वी नो दैट मिथाइल आइसोसाइनाइड इज एक्सट्रीमली टॉक्सिक गैस एंड इट इज कंसंट्रेशन इन द एयर टच 21 ppm. ppm क्या होता है? दैट इज पार्ट्स पर मिलियन, जिससे हमारे एयर क्या होता है, मोर कंटामिनेटेड हो जाती है, and it can cause death within minutes of inhaling the gas. It is one of the worst chemical disaster globally and still continues to have its ill effects on the people on the affected areas. इस ट्रेजेडी के बाद गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने इनैक्ट किया पब्लिक लाइबिलिटी इंश्योरेंस एक्ट, विच इज कॉल्ड PLIA 991, making it mandatory for the industries to get insurance. The premium for this insurance would contribute to an environment relief fund, which is called ERF, to provide compensation to victim of a Bhopal like disaster. Right? Chalo. House panel on tribal affairs apprehensive about PVTJ outlay without population data. ये क्या चीज़ें हैं? देखो, this is called PVTJ which means particularly vulnerable tribal groups. That is called particularly vulnerable tribal group. This is called particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Maximum number of PVTJ that is found in the Odisha, the state of Odisha, that we can see that is the maximum number of particularly vulnerable tribal groups. और ये जो है इसके लिए ज्वाइंट स्टैंडिंग कमीशन ने इसके लिए हाउस पैनल बनाई. हमारे इंडिया के भी ट्रैवल अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर कौन है, विच वी मस्ट नो अबाउट इट. सो व्हाट इज PVTJ इज टॉकिंग अबाउट? PVTJ which means that which is particularly vulnerable tribal groups. What is the criteria to get into the PVTJ? जितने भी हमारे इंडिया के ट्राइब्स हैं उनको अगर PVTJ ग्रुप में जाना है तो उसके लिए क्या क्राइटेरिया होनी चाहिए? ऑब्वियस उनकी लिटरेसी रेट बहुत लो होती है और बाकी चीज़ें हम देखते हैं इसमें. और सेकेंड इज़ दैट जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं PVTJ के लिए, गवर्नमेंट उसे क्लासीफाइड करती है PVTJ में ऑन देयर स्टैग्नेंट और वी कैन से डिक्लाइनिंग पॉपुलेशन, लो लेवल ऑफ लिटरेसी, एब्सेंस ऑफ रिटन लैंग्वेज, जो प्री एग्रीकल्चर स्टेज ऑफ इकोनॉमी है सच एज हंटिंग, फूड गैदरिंग, शिफ्टिंग कल्टिवेशन एंड टेरेस कल्टिवेशन, वो सारे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होनी चाहिए टू गेट इनटू द PVTJ. सो पर्टिकुलरली वनरेबल ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स हैं, दैट इज इन 1973 देहबर कमीशन ने क्रिएट किया प्रिमिटिव ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स PTG एज अ सेपरेट कैटेगरी विच आर लेस डेवलप्ड अमंग द ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स. 2006 में क्या हुआ, गवर्नमेंट ने ऑफ इंडिया रिनेम किया PTG एज अ टू PVTJ. ये डेटा मस्ट शुड बी रिमेंबर in which year that PTG which is a primitive tribal group is known as PVTJ in 2006. 1975 में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने इनिशिएट किया था like identify the most vulnerable tribal groups as a separate category called PVTJ and declared 52 such groups. 1993 में additional 23 groups को add किया गया, right? And among 75 listed PVTJ at present यहाँ पे इंडिया में highest number that is found in Odisha. और we can say once we got the first tribal minister, first tribal president in our country, that is द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी, और वो किस ट्राइबल ग्रुप से बिलोंग करती है? बेटा वो है हमारे संथाल ट्राइबल ग्रुप से बिलोंग करती हैं, एंड शी बेसिकली बिलोंग्स टू स्टेट ऑफ ओडिशा. बिफोर प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ दिस कंट्री वो पहले क्या थी? वो हमारे झारखंड की क्या थी? गवर्नर रह चुकी थी, राइट? So that kind of information should be linked in your mind. Now Australia to buy US nuclear submarine under AUKUS, तो that we have discussed in the very beginning in the session. So इसमें आपको बस ये जानना है कि इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसीज क्या होती हैं. So that is widely known as World's Atoms for Peace and Development Organization within the United Nations family, and IEA is an international center for cooperation in the nuclear field. इसकी establishment हुई थी 1957 में. In response to the deep fears and expectation, a main objective क्या है इसकी इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी एजेंसी की, that it works with its member states and multiple partners worldwide to promote safe, secure and peaceful use of nuclear technologies. 2005 में इसको अवार्ड किया गया नोबल पीस प्राइज फॉर देयर वर्क एज फॉर द सेफ एंड पीसफुल वर्ल्ड्स. और ये एक इंडिपेंडेंट इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो रिपोर्ट्स करती है एनुअली टू द UNGA विच इज़ कॉल्ड यूनाइटेड नेशन जनरल असेंबली को. ये एक आर्टिकल है द हिंदू की साइंस एंड टेक की. साइंटिस्ट कॉल फॉर लीगली बाइंडिंग ट्रीटी टू प्रोटेक्ट अर्थ ऑर्बिट. तो 60,000 सैटेलाइट्स एक्सपेक्टेड टू ऑर्बिट अर्थ बाय 2030. इसमें स्पेस डेब्रीज थे, आप देख सकते हो इसमें 1957 में कैसा था, फिर 2005 में कैसा हुआ, 2018 में, 2013 में. एंड व्हाट आर द इम्पैक्ट ऑन द अर्थ. बात करें यहाँ पे स्पेस डेब्रीज के बारे में, तो होता क्या है. सो स्पेस डेब्रीज बेसिकली इज पोजेस अ ग्लोबल थ्रेट टू द कंटिन्यूड यूज ऑफ स्पेस बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी दैट सपोर्ट क्रिटिकल फंक्शन लाइक जैसे कम्युनिकेशन हो गया, ट्रांसपोर्ट हो गया, वेदर एंड क्लाइमेट मॉनिटरिंग, रिमोट सेंसिंग. तो बेसिकली जो ऊपर सैटेलाइट्स होते हैं जो हमें सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन देती हैं, तो सैटेलाइट्स में क्या करता है, ये बहुत बड़ा थ्रेट है उनके लिए. रिसर्चर्स ने फाइंड किया कि अर्थ माइट सून गेट सैटर्न लाइक अ रिंग मेड इंटायरली आउट ऑफ द स्पेस जंक, बट दे कुड बी क्लीन अप यूजिंग मैग्नेट्स. व्हाट इज द इशू? So with more countries venturing into space with every passing decade, the problem is simply ballooning out. The control of recent events like the anti-satellites weapon test by Russia are only exacerbating the problems. और ये जो debris है that is now adding the space junk problem and posing a major risk to the International Space Station. Landfills catch fire that we have already discussed. Now it's time to questions of the day. That is very very important. और ये questions जो होते हैं वो डेली न्यूज़पेपर के आर्टिकल्स जो आप डिस्कस कर चुके होते हैं आज और डे बिफोर येस्टरडे और येस्टरडे दैट वी हैव, सो दैट यू हैव gathered the information. Now it's time to test it yourself. So here is the very first question. Which one of the following has announced the Women Icons Leading Swachhta Award 2023 on the eve of International Women's Day? Options are Niti Aayog, President Office, Prime Minister Office, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So there are four options are there: Niti Aayog, President Office, Prime Minister Office, Ministry for Housing and Urban Affairs. So obvious the answer would be here option D, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So to highlight the impact of women in sanitation and waste management, Union Ministry and Housing and Urban Affairs ने announce किया Women's Icon Leading Swachhta Award 2023 on the eve of International Women's Day, and its aims to recognize, celebrate and disseminate inspiring and exemplary initiative in urban sanitation and waste management by women-led organization. Moving to the next question. Doha political declaration was in news recently is associated with outer space governance, countering terrorist financing, global monetary policy, sustainable development goals, SDG goals. We have already covered this Doha political declaration. So what it is, association with which thing? So the answer will be here option D1, 5th United Nations Conference on Least Developed Countries, LDC. Sorry. So that is adoption by Doha political declaration by world leaders. So we just under 8 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The declaration focuses on implementing the Doha Programs of Action DPOA 10th year plan to put the world's 46 most vulnerable countries back on track to achieving the UN mandated Sustainable Development Goals SDG. DPOA consists of the 6 key focuses area including eradicating poverty, leveraging the potential of science and technology to fight against multidimensional vulnerabilities and to achieve the SDG, addressing climate change and environmental degradation, recovering from COVID-19 pandemic and building resilience against future shocks for the risk-informed sustainable development. Third one, in which one of the following groups are all the 4 countries members of OPEC Plus group? And we have discussed about OPEC and OPEC Plus: Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Afghanistan, Russia, Eritrea, South Sudan and Sudan. So make sure Russia is not a part of OPEC Plus group, because our maximum dependency for the petroleum that is on OPEC group. Answer is option A is the right answer. So what is OPEC Plus is? That is refers to Alliance for Crude Producers who have been undertaking corrections in supply in oil markets in 2017. So OPEC Plus is include Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, Russia, South Sudan and Sudan. These are the nation of OPEC Plus. And what is OPEC is? Organization for Petroleum Exporting Country, that is called OPEC, and that was found in Baghdad, which is the capital of Iraq, with the signing of an agreement in September 1960s by 5 countries, that is called Islamic Republic of Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. So they were to become the founder members of the organization. So these are the founding members of the organization. So OPEC क्या है? एक permanent intergovernmental organization है, and its objective is to coordinate the unifying petroleum policies among member countries in order to secure fair and stable prices for petroleum producers and efficient economic and regular supply of petroleum in consuming nations. और जो OPEC membership है, that is open to any country that is substantial exporter of oil which shares the ideals of the organization. Moving to the next one, CO2 emission in 2020 report is published by IUCN, IEA, OECD, UNEP. So the answer will be here IEA. According to IEA, CO2 emissions in 2020 report global energy related carbon dioxide emission rose by under 1% in 2022. And moving to the last questions, that is called Sendai Framework is related to what? Banning of chemical weapons, regulate international trade in conventional weapons, limiting to the spread of nuclear weapons, and none of the above. Take your time and try to solve. Because we have discussed many times about the Sendai Framework. So until and unless that you will not solve the MCQs, that would be very not good for you, because the reason in your exam without MCQs, because वहाँ पे you have gathered all the information, but until and unless you will be not able to solve the MCQs and you're getting confused that what kind of questions in your exam, and we can say like जो एग्जाम होते हैं वहाँ पे आपको MCQ सॉल्व करने के टेम्परामेंट आपको डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी, so that whether the which option would be appropriate according to the question. Sometimes the questions itself their answer, but you need to find it out. So that's sometimes you have to find it on the bird's eye view. Okay, so there is Sendai Framework that might be from A, might be from B or C. So think it yourself. Okay, so the right question answer is option D. Yes, Sendai Framework for the Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 से 2030 में is an international document that was adopted by the United Nations member state between 14 to 18 March 2015 at the World Conference on Disaster Risk held in Sendai, that is a place in Japan. So इनमें से कोई भी ऑप्शन आपका करेक्ट नहीं था. As we can say A, B, C and D. So इसमें कोई भी ऑप्शन हमारा करेक्ट नहीं था. So this is all about the session, dear student, and I hope you enjoyed the session a lot. Make sure that make a very short notes on all these things, and I made it very clear for each and every aspect of this newspaper analysis, and I hope that you enjoyed the session a lot. If you have any questions regarding this, please let me know in the comment section. Our entire Pratham Test Prep team is willing to help you in 24/7, and if you are new in this channel, please subscribe the channel as well, and do not forget to press the bell icon so you will get the notification of all our Pratham Test Prep mentors. So we'll meet you tomorrow at the same time at 11:30. Stay tuned till then. Bye bye and take care. And once again, thank you so much for joining with us.